Hey fellow backyard boyers, Nick here. I've been getting a lot of questions about bows and zombies. On top of that, the Google Plus community just started up a contest on a sort of a zombie themed bow for Halloween. You can go and check out the community itself for more information on that. So I got to thinking about it, and a lot of people have been asking me what type of bow would I use or make if I had to go up against hordes of zombies. Now, the moral implications of fighting zombies aside, there are some things that I believe are important when dealing with zombies and using a bow. And first off, while you'd want to have a very strong bow in a lot of situations, you have to keep in mind that you're going to get tired. You're not going to be able to take as much rest as you'd like. Shooting a very heavy bow for prolonged periods is very draining. You could also hurt yourself. You want to minimize any damage to yourself, and you want to be able to keep on fighting to the very end. So for a bow for zombies, I would want something that's actually on the lower side for weight. Something around 40 to 45 pounds. Right around in the middle, so about 43 pounds would be a happy weight for me. It's got just enough weight that with a properly weighted arrow, it will do a lot of damage fairly quick. And it's going to be accurate, but it's going to be manageable. Even if you're injured or you need to hand your bow to somebody with less physical strength than you or less practice than you, it's a weight they can quickly master in a high pressure situation. Another thing, the bow would need to be quiet. If that's really important, you don't want to alert any zombies to your position. And you want it to be versatile and be able to work with a variety of arrows, though there are ways to work around that, and it's mainly on the archer. So what I came up with was a really simple design. This is my zombie slayer bow. It's very simple. It's basically just a longbow design. There are no complete seams. You can see the tips actually have seams on the back to lighten them up, but it's not going to cut down on strength at all. The bow is very robust. This particular bow uses schedule 80 pipe, so it's a little on the heavier side as far as wall, and it can take a little more, meaning that if I had to use this as a spear or a bludgeoning weapon, it would be more up to the task than a Schedule 40 bow. Now, it's going to be a little on the slightly sluggish side because it's made with gray pipe, but it makes up for that with a solid 43 pounds and good speed, all things considered. It's fairly long. It's 5 feet long, so you have leverage. You have some leverage to help you in the draw. It's very stable, very consistent. So we're going to be making this today. I'm going to show you how to do it. So prepare for the instant time warp and wardrobe change, and we'll get started. Alright, to start you're going to need a 1-inch Schedule 80 PVC pipe. Now, since coming to the mainland, I found that Schedule 80 pipe actually comes with two different variants. Just like Schedule 40, you can find it both as a plumbing pipe and a pipe for electrical conduit. Now, up here I found that electrical conduit variety is only very slightly more expensive than Schedule 40. The plumbing pipe, on the other hand, is just like back in Hawaii, is much more expensive, though it's a lot cheaper up here than it was back home. So this here is a 1-inch Schedule 80 electrical conduit. One thing to keep in mind that if you do use the plumbing variety, just keep in mind that it will work a little better, it'll be a little more resilient, you can expect a little more speed and a little more draw weight. Just because it was designed for pressure, And this, on the other hand, wasn't. But Schedule 80 is already so thick that it's not really much of a problem. A couple things to keep in mind though, that if you're going to be using Schedule 80 for bows, it likes to be a little longer than Schedule 40, and it doesn't take drastic shaping as well as Schedule 40 does. And one of the downsides to Schedule 80 is that where Schedule 40 would collapse, Schedule 80 is more likely to simply snap or shatter. So that's something to keep in mind. Though, if you make it within its safe range, you get a very powerful, very stable bow. Especially at this size, not so much speed. It's got good solid performance, but it's not going to be pushing the envelope as far as speed goes. What I've got here is a 1-inch Schedule 80 pipe. This is cut to 58 inches long. I've gone ahead and I've marked the center, 2.5 inches out from center on both sides, and then 2.5 inches out from that. That's going to be our handle. And then on each tip, I've marked 9 inches plus an extra 3 inches so we can blend this and add more stability. So now the next step is to flatten this out, and I'm going to use a slightly different method than what I've shown you before. So here we go. Okay, I've been getting a lot of questions as to if you can use a torch to flatten PVC, and the answer is yes. So today I'm going to be using a torch. This is I'm using an auto start model. I've also used just a standard nozzle. I like using a nozzle either with a spiral flame or just a wider flame. One of the things I like to do when choosing a torch, this is propane by the way, I like something that'll produce a clean flame, and if I'm using it, I like to use it as a high enough setting so that the flame comes out clean. Because if you put soot or darken the pipe, it's very easy to hide burns. You want the flame to be very clean so you can see everything. Now, when you're using torch, you're going to want to if you're using a foil lined heating trough, you're going to want to, in a very open area, sort of pass the flame over the aluminum foil first, because stuff is going to burn off of it. You don't want to do that in an enclosed space. Another thing I did was take off the end here, because as I'm heating this pipe up, the outside of the pipe is going to get very hot, and it's going to want to stick to any aluminum foil in this area. So this is just wood right here. Other than that, the rest of the setup is pretty much the same. So here we go. It's a little different than using a heat gun. Things will go a lot quicker. It may be harder to see how fast it is, but Schedule 80 takes a lot longer to heat than Schedule 40. And this will go through Schedule 40 really quick. So here we go. So now I'm just checking to see that the whole thing's heated enough. Need to do a little more work in the handle. Alright, so now that it's soft enough, you're going to go ahead, take it, put it on your flattening board, put the top on it, and then snap it down. Alright, so there we go. So I'm just going to let it cool. Once this is done, I'll show you what it looks like. Here we go.